And we're live. Weekend Collaborations. Saturday, June 9th with Faith, Enawake, and Matt. And we're just going through homework Ruby intro for the first week. So we're just gonna start reading this, no? I need to send the YouTube link, right? All right. Let me send the YouTube link so we can put it there for people. Maybe we can watch our text live. I need to send the YouTube link, right? There you go, Faith. Thank you. So Ruby intro, this 3-part homework gives some basic practice in Ruby, as well as getting you accustomed to making testing a regular part of your workflow. So first thing, the big note that it says, because Faith, I've already cloned this on mine, so you're going to clone the repo on yours, correct?
Okay.
So it says, do not clone this repo to your workspace. Fork it first, then clone your fork. You've already forked and cloned stuff before, correct?
Yes.
I guess do you want me to wait till you do that, or do you want me to keep reading?
Keep reading. Then do I have to? Okay, just keep reading. I'll try to do it.
Yeah. You have the link, right? It's the Sassbook / homework Ruby intro.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the top, the fork, I always forget where the fork is, but yeah, they're on the kind of top right of below the nav bar. Right. So after completing this assignment, you will know how to write simple code that uses basic constructs in the Ruby language, including methods and arguments, conditionals, string and array manipulation, regular expressions, and basic object-oriented programming mechanisms. Understand the Ruby project conventions for where code files and test files are located in a project's directory hierarchy. Run individual tests or suites of tests using the RSpec unit testing tool. And understand the basic syntax of RSpec unit tests. Any questions about that?
No questions.
Cool. Enawake?
From me.
No question.
Cool. Overview. You may find the Ruby documentation at ruby-doc.org helpful to have on hand. So I can open that up just in case we need. And the repo for this assignment follows a fairly standard Ruby convention for code bases. The code files are stored in lib, and the test files are stored in spec. We use the RSpec unit testing framework. If we were using Ruby's default framework, known as test unit, the test files would be under test, the directory test. So we've placed starter code in the lib/rubyintro.rb. When you're all done, you can submit this single file to the autograder. However, you can test each of the 3 parts separately. The file spec/part, not parentheses, not curly braces, braces123 / spec.rb contains RSpec tests for each of the 3 parts. For example, to test your answers for part 1, say RSpec spec/part1 spec.rb. RSpec with no arguments runs the test in all the files spec. Yeah, all the spec. Yeah. So the line numbers in the RSpec error reports will give you guidance as to which tests failed. You can check the RSpec documentation to see how the .rspec file can be used to customize the output format. To ensure you have the RSpec gem installed, you need bundler and then run bundler install like so. Right, so let's go to your screen for a second, Faith, and see how are you doing on getting it forked and cloned.
You can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Collaboration.
Um,
That's the spelling.
in this learn take is like touch. Oh no, it's like an alias for make directory.
Kinda, but what it does that make directly does not do is that it takes me inside the folder
Ah,
directly
nice.
after
Awesome.
being created. That's
Is
why I
this
prefer it.
is this specific to ZSH? ZSH?
I'm not so sure, but there's a high chance. I think we've ever tried it on your machine and it didn't work.
I've never tried it. No.
Good try it.
Yeah,
Mm.
I can do that. All right, so
Yeah.
you've cloned it, and then what does it say to do?
Yeah.
Gem install bundler. You have bundler already, right?
Yeah. I have it.
So
And
then it
then
says, yeah, cool. And then
so
if
I
you just
should
put bundle,
just
okay. So what do you do? Yeah, nice. You have RVM. Have you tried using RBenv?
no.
Yeah,
I
I
haven't.
tried using it, but it didn't seem to play very nicely with fish shell. And then I just kept using RVM, but which works really nice.
Oh, I haven't installed this.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. So while it's doing that, maybe I can read on. So when the above completes successfully, you'll have rspec installed and can run rspec from the command line to test your code. All right. So that's the first thing it wants us to do.
Okay.
And then, yeah, have we've kind of read a little bit together about, we were talking about enumerables before, and I know that we did some of the exercises for array and hashes, right?
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Anawaki, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Ah, okay. So I was just saying that we've talked before, I think last week, a little bit about enumerables.
Yeah.
And about hashes and arrays as well. We've talked a little bit about, but we can look at the documentation if we get stuck on anything. And so the zero thing to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, let's run the test first, actually, and see what the tests say.
Still waiting.
Is it's still installing the gems?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wonder if I'll try to go into my thing, if I can
Your
get there
screen?
faster. Yeah, if I can get there faster than your thing, but Ruby projects, homework, Ruby intro. Okay, so I'm there, and if I run rspec, oh, actually all mine passed, so that doesn't that doesn't help because I've already done the homework. All right, so we'll wait for Bamba.
Are you okay? Have you done this? Are you okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to hear you as well. Anyway,
Could you please turn on your volume? Increase your volume.
Is it better?
Not really. Can kind of hear you, but but I can you hear us okay, Anawake? Because I kind of know, Anawake said he's done the first 2 weeks, or maybe the first 3 weeks, or in the third week, and then yeah, he said he doesn't mind going through it again, because yeah, it's always good to go through it more than once. So bundle. Oh, it's still installing RVM, huh? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Anuake, we can't really hear him so well, but he can hear us fine. So he said he's happy to just answer on the chat. And also, maybe if you really want to say something, Anuake, and maybe you could try rejoining and see if that works. But otherwise, yeah, we'll try to get our VM to install on Fate's machine.
Okay. Define. We could just be reading through it then. So the whole of this is challenge 1.
Yeah, it's the first week of homework. We need to get like these. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So we have these. I think the Ruby intro part 1 is we need to get all of these methods to pass. So there's a method called sum. There's a method called max2sum, sum to n, hello. But we don't have to do all of it today and tomorrow. You know, we can work on it today and tomorrow, and whatever we don't finish, we can do later. You know.
Okay, no problem.
I just find it weird that it's oh, it's compiling is why. All right, that's all right. I'm just gonna run to.
I don't know. Is it affected by the internet? My internet,
Yeah, probably because it. I'll be right back. Okay. If
Alright.
if it installs and you wanna like
Continue.
sorry.
If you're saying something, if it installs.
Yeah, if it installs and you want to run the RSpec tests, but I'll be right back. Okay.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Right. So still compiling, huh?
Yeah. I like how colorful this is.
Yeah. So we have part 1, part 2, and part 3. Yeah. So. I suppose I could. Yeah, maybe I can. You can have a look on mine. Part 1. I have all the answers though. So how would I do that? Why don't you, while you're waiting for that, why don't you go to, why don't you open up the part 1 spec in your editor and we can have a look at it. What do you think?
Okay.
I
No
know.
problem.
Is your microphone working better? No.
Can't hear you.
No. Nothing. Weird. Right. Ah, yes, VS Code. I was talking to Sam about VS Code this week.
Mm-hmm. Should be defined. Expect some of.
Yeah. So these are the tests you're going to run, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we could go through them one by one if you want, and talk about if we all understand what they're doing.
Okay.
So yeah, the first one starting on line 6, or I guess starting on line 5 because it's describing the. Have you seen this this hashtag sum before?
No. But
And
I've
okay,
only just seen.
have you seen this before? The this hashtag sum, hashtag max to sum. I think he's struggling to see your. Yeah, maybe. I can see it, but
Are you seeing it correctly? Should I increase it?
I can see okay.
And him?
And Awaki, can you hear us? Yeah, I can hear. Cool. So have you seen this on line 5 where it says describe and then the in the quotes hashtag sum? Have you seen this before? Do you know what this means? With our spec? So I think maybe I should check, but I've seen it before. I think it's talking about the. So this is like a way of the method, right? So we're going to have a method called sum, and then in that method sum, it should be defined. It should return correct sum. It should work on an empty array, and on down. You know, so you can use this describe and then the hashtag to talk about specific methods.
A method. Okay.
Yeah, and there's more than just the hashtag, but I'm not quite sure all of the ones they.
The only time I've come across a hashtag, it's when you use your rating CSS style sheets.
Yeah. I just they put the RSpec documentation on here, so I can have a look at that and see if it has any, if it talks anything about this. No, not really. It doesn't seem like it. Oh, documentation. So yeah, on line 5 it's just it's describing the method sum, and then starting from line 6 it should be defined, and line 7 everybody understands that test, right?
Yeah.
So I guess when we run the test, it'll help us. Yeah.
It returns correct.
Could you try opening up like another tab on your terminal and see if
And see what?
yeah.
I see what?
You know what he was saying about one of the lectures. The lecturer was like talking about how the hashtag is used for belonging to a class. Yeah. Could be. I'm pretty sure it's talking about the methods though, but
Because I can say even the max to sum is a method we've been told to write. Sum to n is another method we've been asked to write.
R spec, better specs. Oh, are you guys familiar with this this site betterspecs.org?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I'll pass here just in case. And we need to remember as well to to share the links on the group as well, you know, because they get lost if you just share here.
Okay. You should, I think, even just share it directly. Both. You don't know why I
About the
always have to install Bundler all the time. Most of the time. Never know why. I thought like it's globally installed, so I never have to install it later.
Oh, cool. Nice. Did you actually switch to RVMUs 2.3? I didn't see.
Not really, but it always defaults to the latest installed.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
if you do like RVM list, yeah.
I should say.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Cool. 2.4.1 is the one is where Hundfunk is, no?
Oh, okay.
All right. So do you want to run the RSpec for the spec 1 or part 1?
Okay. Should I bundle exec or just run RSpec?
I'm not sure. I think bundle and spec is better, maybe, but yeah, that'll run all the tests. But if you want to just run for the first part,
okay, RSpec then.
yeah. And then space spec, and then if you start saying part 1, and then just hit tab. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, gonna be more specific. Cool. So, so the first test passed.
Should be defined.
Oh yeah, the first test passed. Okay, so maybe it comes with the actual. Yeah, do you want to go there and see? In the file, yeah, there you go. Part 1, there you go. Oh yeah, cool. So they already defined the methods for us. So I guess by looking at the test, if you were to delete like that def sum array from part 1 from the Ruby intro, yeah, if you delete that and then run the test again, or yeah, maybe not delete, yeah, comment it out is better. Then it failed. And what does it tell us why it failed?
Should be defined. So part 1 should be defined.
So it raised the error, no method error, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, this not to raise error. All right. So do you want to? So the first test is passing, right? It's the second test that's failing.
Okay, so they're saying it returns correct sum.
Yep.
Okay. So I need to ensure that we're adding.
Yep.
We are finding the sum of this.
Yep.
Okay.
So go back to the test so we can see like specifics, maybe. No,
okay.
the file in your VS Code. The actual what we're. So it returns the correct sum, right? And 20 points. That's to do with So what it's gonna do is it's gonna pass. You can see where it's calling the method sum.
Yeah.
Yeah, And what is it? Is it passing in any arguments or parameters? And if so, like, yeah, well, we can see it is, right? What kind of parameter is it passing in?
A number, integers.
Yeah, which is inside of what?
Inside an array.
Yeah.
Okay. So then it means here
Oh,
we
yeah,
should have this.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, because that it says define sum, and then it gives that array already passed it in for you. So
Okay. So like this, or
no, well, no, because so when it calls this sum and then the parentheses there, it's actually calling the method that starts on line 5, right?
Okay. Like that.
Yeah, well, that what you have on line 7 is the same thing, like basically the same thing as well, the way you have it on line 7 is that you want to call a method called sum that takes an array, right? So then that will probably just call itself eternally, right? It'll be like an infinite loop because you're inside of your method, you're calling itself, you know? So you don't want to call a method inside of your method. You want to actually add the code that's gonna sum up the array. So do you know any methods that you can call on the class array that will sum it?
Okay. Not sure. Nope.
So then I guess now would be when we would go to that where is it, the Ruby docs, right? So
Even in OKC.
Ruby documentation, and then they should have here what array? No. All right, so let's do array methods in Ruby. So you've done this before with the Ruby docs, right?
With Ruby docs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think you're supposed to be patient when you looked into the documentation, because I can see it.
Hold on a sec. I'm gonna try. Hey, okay. I tried turning up your volume. Can you say something so we can check? No, nothing. Yeah, I noticed the volume's always really low. You know why? Did I just get suddenly louder right now?
Yeah. You get louder.
All right, well, I'm gonna
God. Let's begin by 0. But I thought sum itself is a method. You know,
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay. Well, I shouldn't have turned my volume all the way down then. But I don't know why we still can't hear Anoake, because his volume's all the way up. Yours is all the way up. I was just saying that, yeah, maybe you could open up another another tab on your terminal and go into Pry, and you can go playing around with some of your assumptions. Like, for example, one of the things that you just said was that maybe array has a method called sum. So how would you test out that theory?
Sorry?
How would you test out your theory that if if array has a method called sum?
If array has a method called sum.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just do this.
I can't quite see because Google is in my way. Oh, there you go. Cool. Nice. Yep. So you have
Yes.
yeah, faith.sum. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Cool. So you were able to test your theory.
Okay. So it means doing this that sum should make the test pass.
I would think so.
Okay.
I'm not 100%, but did you save it?
Yeah, I do saves.
Huh.
I wonder why it's failing.
Does it tell you why?
The same first, like the first one should pass.
Yeah, exactly. Should be defined. Yeah.
Sum should be defined.
It's weird.
I don't think it should not be my. But something else is passing. Oh wow, this is no line 7 was making it fail.
Weird. Hmm. So if you comment out that, then it, yeah, you should be able to just say ARR, right?
Yeah. So it's making it fail. How did you do yours?
Yeah, mine was a little bit different, but we've seen that it actually works in your in Pry. So I'm wondering, because I'm looking here at the documentation as well, and sum is not a method they have here in the documentation. So I'm wondering if sum is a new method in a newer method in Ruby,
Yeah. Is that
a newer method in Ruby.
newer method?
Yeah.
It's
Array, because we're in Ruby 2.3, right? Array class methods. Yeah. It's really strange though that it's actually failing the first test as well, right?
Yeah.
Documentation for Ruby 2.3. This class hash. Don't want class hash. I want class array. Yeah, and here on the core 2.3.3 in the Ruby docs for the class array, it doesn't show sum as a method in here either. What happens if I search the page for sum? No.
Faith, you can go to the room. You can go to the room and increase my volume from there.
Yeah, I tried that.
Okay, you can look at the doc. Can you double check to save it? Yeah, I have. As a document that has not been saved has this dot, and if it's saved, the dot disappears. Mine auto saves, so I have double checked. Right.
Let me see if it fails on mine as well. If I put .sum there. Our spec part 1. Yeah, so mine doesn't fail when I put the same exact thing as you put. So I think there must be something wrong that we're not seeing with. Can you remove the? I mean, I don't think it matters the comments, but
What comment?
just in the method sum array, just remove the comment and then just write array.sum like you had, like our arr.sum, and then run the test again. It's really annoying because Inawake can't help debug as much because if he wants to help debug, he needs to go there and
chat. Annoying.
It's still failing on yours.
Yes.
Weird. Why would it be failing on yours and passing on mine? Did you? Yeah.
Because
it doesn't seem like you changed anything, huh? I can show you on mine. Look, the sum array should be defined. It gives a warning about fixnum is deprecated, but then it returns the correct sum, and it works on an empty array. And if I show you my code, you can see here.
Oh.
It's the exact same thing, right? Def sum array.sum, and
why are you failing?
I had experience today where I had something that wasn't working. It was driving me nuts because I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. And then in the end, it was, yeah, cool. So that passed. It's always something silly. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. Can you try running just the one thing that I was doing that's different is I wasn't running bundle and exec. I was just running rspec. And then the spec / part 1. One error occurred outside examples. So you do have an error. What is it saying that error that occurred outside examples? Because that's normally a syntax error.
It's because of this.
Oh, I had a period at the end. Oh, okay.
Uh,
Oh no, it's because there was a colon but no 5 after it. But it's still failing on yours.
yes. Wait, what have I done just now? Yeah.
Why are you running with line? Oh, that passed something. Try it without the colon at the end, and without because the colon 5 is supposed to run just the test on the fifth line, correct? But it's running all of the tests in the yeah. Try. Oh well, no. So that's the failing again.
Yeah.
Very strange.
You do. No, why are you not working? Let's see.
Yeah, I saw this as well. Actually, this is what I originally had was the inject method.
It's working.
It's working with inject.
Yeah.
That's strange.
It's super strange.
I think because when I ran my test, I'm using 2.4 Ruby 2.4. Let me try using Ruby 2.3 and running the tests again and see if that has anything to do with it, because that's gonna drive me nuts. So then I run rspec again. And then it's time to run bundle. Ah, weird. So I have 2.4.1 as my gem file. Yeah, but where's my gem file? This doesn't even have a gem file, does it? Oh, it does have a gem file. Because I put guard rspec and pry here as well. Then run bundle. All right, well, nice. You got it to pass. So what did you do there? You went to you just went to Stack Overflow and
Yeah. First I googled this.
nice. And when is that answer from? 2009, huh?
Yeah.
That was about when the course was written, I think. Yeah, so interestingly, when I run it fails as well, but it gives a little bit more information than I feel like it was giving on yours.
When?
Like, can you see my screen?
Okay.
So like it fails on all of the part 1 specs. And on the first part, the 3, and on the sum, where it says that private method sum called for array. So maybe
Oh, I didn't have.
I think prior to Ruby 2.4 maybe, or I don't know exactly which one, but I know in 2.4.1 it's not working. It's working fine with the dot sum, but in 2.3 the method sum doesn't work. So good to know. Let's see. I run it again. No. List RVM use 2.4.1. Then run it again. Yeah, then they all pass. So yeah, it has to do with the version of Ruby. All right. Well, that's good to know. So what's the next test that's failing?
Works on empty array. So that's expect the sum of an empty array not to raise any error, and expect it to be 0.
So where is this method inject?
Where?
Yeah, like I was just saying if we could read a little bit about the documentation about this method inject. All right, so it's in the this is an enumerable inject, and it seems like it's from the this is 2.5. I don't want Ruby 2.5. Ruby 2.3. Yeah, we can wrap up whenever you want, Faith. I know it's really late there, and we already talked about having starting earlier. So just let us know when you're. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so injects. So we have a couple different options here. You can do an inject with an initial and a symbol, inject with a symbol, inject with initial and then a block, or inject with a block, right? So we're using it kind of like maybe these first two ways. So it combines all elements of enum by applying a binary operation specified by a block or a symbol that names a method or operator. So yeah, back to your code. When you put in here this this colon plus, this plus is actually a method, right? In Ruby.
Yeah.
So you're calling that you're calling the method that method plus. If you specify a block, which we didn't, then for each element in enum, the block is passed an accumulator value, memo, and the element. If you specify a symbol instead, which is what we did, the symbol and the method, and each element in the collection will be passed to the named method of memo. In either case, the result becomes the new value for memo. At the end of the iteration, the final value of memo is returned, is the return value for the method. If you do not specify an initial value for memo, then the first element of collection is used as the initial value of memo. Right. And then we can see here, actually, I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can see. We have here a range.inject and then a block. That's not so interesting. Yeah, right. So yeah, I'm trying to think if we give an initial value to it.
Same as using a block and an inject. So, okay.
Oh, look here. So if you use in a block, or it's same as reduce, right, as well. But if you come here and you do like a range from 5 to 10 and you say dot reduce, and then exactly like we did, then it's gonna have here 45, right? So apparently you can use reduce as well. Do you want to try putting in dot reduce and seeing if those two tests still pass?
I think it should, because I saw another suggestion of doing the same thing.
Yeah. So they both pass, right?
Yeah.
All right. It doesn't matter. All right. So then we keep going like dot to eject, and then this is kind of a longer way of doing the same thing, right?
Sure.
And then if you multiply some numbers, you have like the range dot reduce, and then you have a 1 and whatever. And then you multiply the numbers, right? So then look at the output though. The first thing it outputs is a 1, right?
I thought that's the whole thingy. Like that's the whole.
No.
It's
The
like
first,
5 times 10 times.
no, I think it's like it gives this initial value of 1, and then it does 5 times.
Really?
Yeah, well, maybe. No, maybe not. No.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I could prove
Yeah.
by doing that. Go back to. I wanted to look at your page.
Yeah. A range of 5 to 10. But then this is not summing it though. It's multiplying it. So yeah.
So I could do reduce then to prove your.
Yeah, no, you're right though. It makes sense because these two things are the same, right?
So yeah, so it can't be that. I just thought maybe it's 2 times 5 times. 1. So it's like so it could be 1, could be 2 times 1 times 2 times 3 or times 4. Yeah. You've seen it?
Sorry? No, I wasn't.
In my screen. Okay.
Yeah,
So
cool.
this was my thinking. That you're doing this number, you first multiply with 2 times the first number, 1 times 3 times 2 times 3.
Cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I did like to test the theory that I was thinking about is here in Pry as well. Like I just gave an empty array, which is what we're looking for, right? If it's an empty array, then I said dot inject, and I pass in an initial value and the summing, right? And because it's empty, it just returned the initial value, right?
Yeah.
So what are we expecting from the test?
To the sum of an empty array is returning a 0.
Okay. So do you think maybe we can use that initial value maybe?
So like this dude, I'm not sure how that would look like. Is it the same thing?
Can you see on my screen?
Yeah.
So I have here like dot inject. I passed in an empty array, and then I said dot inject, and then inside of the parameters, I gave an initial value of 1, and then I passed in the summing, right? And that gave me 1, right? But if I try passing in 0, which is what the test is expecting, then look at that.
0.
But you.
So you're saying I did that?
Yeah, like that. But that's something like line 7 is something you could put on line. You could put on Pry, right? But in this case, you yeah, so now it works. That's great. Do you know why that's happening that way?
Because we have 0.
Yeah, but why is the second test failing and the third test is passing now?
Okay. It's because, let me confirm. Okay, I don't know.
So go back to the Ruby intro. So one thing about Ruby that I'm not sure if you know or not is that if you try swapping lines 6 and 7, what happens, for example?
Do you know the shortcut of?
On Atom, it's Control up, but I think on VS Code maybe, yeah, I'm not sure if it's Alt up or you don't even have Alt, huh? Because you're on a Mac.
It's Option R.
Yeah, there you go. Now what happens if you run that? Right. So the second passed and the third failed. So I think the reason this is happening is because in Ruby, the last value is what's returned, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So when you put line 6 on line 7, then it was returning 0, right? Which is what the test was looking for. And now it's returning the correct sum of the array. So just remove line 7 altogether. Because what you can do kind of the same thing that you did on line 7, just in line 6, right? So what you're saying is this array that you're passing in, ARR, if it looks like an empty array, like on my terminal or like you had on line 7, then you want to return. No, you don't even need that or. Just put a 0 before the. Yeah, you want exactly like that, but instead of saying passing in an empty array, you want to pass in actually ARR dot. Yeah, and then just give a space between those two, because that way Robocop is happy. So now, can you yeah, that should pass, I think.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. And do you understand why?
No, not really.
So the ARR, right, is the any array. So you don't want to use an actual empty array because you don't know what the person is going to pass in as a parameter, right? They might pass in an empty array, or they might pass in an array with a lot of numbers in it. And this dot reduce, this method reduce or inspect, it has this initial value which you can set to 0, for example. And what it'll do is if the array is empty, then it'll just return this initial value. If it isn't empty, then it will start to sum up from that initial value, like the initial value is 0.
0. True.
And do you understand why when in the documentation, why when we're doing a multiplication, why we pass in the initial value as 1?
1? No.
So what happens if you go to pry and try doing try passing in an array with a bunch of your favorite numbers and then saying yeah, dot reduce or dot inspect? And then pass in 0 as the first parameter, as the initial value.
This is going to be 0.
Exactly.
Yeah, going to be.
All right. That's weird.
0.
I wonder. Yeah, that's weird. What if you put reduce? Or yeah, I thought maybe that as well. Maybe the float. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. It's the multiplication.
Yeah, That looks right.
What is this? What is this? Can't read this.
Oh,
I'm trying to say multiplication of all numbers in the range. Maybe he was answering something else. Yes.
double check that you saved it. It's the multiplication of all numbers in the range. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that works, huh? Reduce works, but inspect didn't.
Yeah. Should they be used interchangeably?
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, it looks like it on the documentation, but maybe pry is not. But that we've already noticed that pry is not actually from Ruby 2.3. That's why the dot sum worked in pry, but didn't work in. So I think maybe pry keeps up with maybe pry's on Ruby 2.5 even, you know, and maybe now, and if you look at the docs from 2.5, maybe inspect is different than reduce. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the thing. So the initial value in that case needs to be 1 because you're going to be multiplying. You're using the initial value, right? It's like becoming part of your it's becoming part of your array, right? So.
Yeah.
And then if you did that,
and it should be 6, 10.5. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that helped that I had already actually. I mean, now that I know that there's a sum method. I mean, it seems much easier than using dot reduce or like the reduce or the inspect method, but.
Okay.
So now we're on number 1.
Yeah. And I have to leave soon.
Yeah, definitely. You need to get your sleep. I mean, if you want to, if you want to stop right now before we get into, or if you think we can, I don't know how long it's going to take to define the method max to sum.
Which takes an integer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could try till 5 minutes.
Okay.
See
cool.
where we can get. Okay.
Yep.
Could read it.
Yeah. You want me to read?
Yeah.
So define a method max to sum array, which takes an array of integers as an argument and returns the sum of its 2 largest elements. For an empty array, it should return 0. For an array with just 1 element, it should return that element. And then run the tests. So what is the returns true and any elements? Nice.
So
Can you scroll down, like, because where it talks about the failures on the on your terminal, it actually gives some more information. Yeah, there it is. So expected blah 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 to be a kind of fixed num. So it's saying nil, right?
yeah.
That makes sense. So what are you thinking?
Outcome. Expect to read an error. That's passing already. So maybe sort. If you want to, we're returning the text array of integers and returns the sum. So maybe sort the array first, and then add like the numbers in the sorting set the numbers in the array into ascending or descending order.
No, why don't you try?
Um, oh,
One is a float, one is a
it's okay. So I would say because you want to return the sum of its two largest number.
Yep.
So sum what's in the second last and last index, but I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah. I just Googled, what did I Google? I Googled get two largest numbers from an array Ruby. And let's see what it says. Yeah, so one of them is the sort, like you said, but they pass in braces, they pass in, looks like -2. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah.
We could try that.
So you want that, and
there's another one that says there's a method called max.
Okay.
So I don't know if we can look up information about max. Let's see on the documentation. Oh yeah, so there's a method called max in Ruby 2.3.
Okay.
I don't know if it's in the other Rubies, but
that will only return the highest. You want the highest too.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna just see if I'm just gonna read a little bit more information about the method, and maybe you can pass in some arguments. No.
Yeah.
So max, it says returns the object in enum. So yeah, you can pass in arguments. You can pass in a block, or you can pass in just a simple argument or an argument with a block. So returns the object in enum with the maximum value. The first form assumes all objects implement comparable, the module comparable. The second uses the block to return the A, and then I don't remember the name of that operator. The space B. So yeah, for example, if you call dot max on an array and you pass in the parameters 2, see what you get.
So like this.
Yeah, dot max.
Or
yeah, and then pass in 2. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So can you do this?
I think, are you trying to do like chaining?
I wanted to submit.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
But actually, I think you don't even need that. You don't even need those parentheses. Try it without the parentheses.
Oh.
Did it work? Yeah. So this is something they call chaining in Ruby, where you can just call you can call multiple methods after other methods. You know.
Okay. So that.
Maybe, but do you think I think that the dot sum is probably not going to work there, right?
Oh, why? Because of the Ruby method. The Ruby.
Yeah, the Ruby version.
So I do the same thing.
Yeah, maybe even try putting even the 0, because one of your edge cases is if it's an empty array. So maybe that'll work for 2 of your tests if you're
Is
lucky.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
0 if the row is empty, and then
Yeah. So
works even if the two are the same.
yeah.
As it,
So maybe the test on 37, I think, might fail, but let's see what happens.
wait, let me try and see. Oh yeah, it might not. 37. It returns the value of the element if it's just one element. Yeah. No, actually, it might not. They should all pass.
All right.
According to Pry. Yay.
Look at that. And now, like, look at my screen. It's been a while since I did this, and look at how much less code do you have than I have. I had this like, if the array is empty, return 0. Else, if the array is that length is equal to 1, return the array 0. Else, return the array. You know, and all I need to do is add a 0 here. Basta. All right, so I'm going to go refactoring because that's a lot of extra code for the same functionality.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. So let me see if they pass on mine as well.
And you okay? Are you okay?
Yep. Still passed.
Okay. I have to leave.
Yes, you need to sleep now.
Yeah.
So we almost got done with the first part, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And then maybe tomorrow we can meet a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll change the event. We said something like 2 p.m. or sorry, like my time 2 p.m., which would be 8 o'clock your time.
Oh, it was before. Yeah.
Even before is better.
Perfect. Yeah, as long as, because I think I'll be home. So yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I can put the event for 2 hours earlier, and then we can talk on Slack if you want to meet a little bit earlier.
Cool.
And then that way it's not so much of a time difference. I need to talk to Peter as well because I know he was planning on joining, but maybe if he really wants to join at this time where the event is, then maybe I can just meet with him.
Okay, no worries.
Cool.
Okay, I could stop the broadcast.
Good to see you. Okay. Oh, what did I? Hold on. Can you double check that you say? Yeah, I used array.max. Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. So
array.max.
Yeah, it's just using the dot inject. I'd curious if there's one that's better than the other. Do you want to? Yeah, maybe you could change that to inject and see if it works. I think actually I used the inject as well, and it did work.
It's okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you, and welcome. Hopefully, I don't know what's wrong with your microphone, but hopefully it worked out. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you as well so much.
Uh-huh.